Well, here we are again, guys. SEMA 2019. Lots of cars to show you here. There's a lot of impressive builds, private and manufacturers, where individuals have put their hard work into these builds and put their passion into the build as well. So hopefully we'll show you some cool cars on this episode of Lokar. Welcome to the Lokar Car Show. This is gonna be one awesome car.
And I said, it doesn't even run yet. And look at it now, it's amazing.
Everything you may want to see as a gearhead is here at the show. Imports, domestics, Germans, suspensions, turbochargers and superchargers. Everything is here. If you're a gearhead, this is a show you must see. We're here in the Lokar booth. I've got Kevin with me, SEMA 2019. There's a lot of new products in this booth on display this year. Tell us about some of the new products.
We've got a lot going on. We've been doing some acquisitions. One of the premier ones we've done is Lokar steering wheels. I mean, it's a brand that's been around forever. I mean, since I was little, that's what you put in your truck, you know?
Yep.
So we've got that going on. We've got a lot of new billet products for muscle cars, taillights, hood hinges, trunk hinges. You know, a lot of stuff that Lokar came up with it on its own, and some new products like these.
Like this, you've added a whole new flair to an old school product you guys have had for years. This is kind of what put you on the map. I've used this in so many import engine swaps, you know?
Right.
When you put a GM transmission in there, now you've coupled the two together in a single station. That's very awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We thought, why not clean up the engine bay, have one location instead of having it next to the headers like we traditionally do. Put this on the firewall, put it at the back of the block, something like that. We've got a magnetic cap, you can hide your knobs, just kind of clean it up. Or we've got the kind with a little rubber grip and you can leave it exposed.
And new black rubber, and you've made it so simple that people can make this at home with a simple snap-in-place design.
That's right, it's basically a push lock fitting that's adapted for these high temp rubber hoses, or the stainless, which, you know, traditionally we've always done.
Absolutely.
So.
When you guys are doing engine swaps, make sure to check out Lokar, because with their products, the engine swap becomes so much more painless. Lokar Performance. This is a very impressive 1923 T-Bucket, belonged to Chris's stepfather, Ed, and this is so cool. I love the front suspension. Tell me what kind of chassis this is.
This is a Dan Woods chassis. So you got a unique front suspension on it, and then it has a Jaguar rear suspension.
That is cool. Now, how do you get into this thing?
You got to step in from the passenger side. There is an actual step in that you can bump into it.
Now, this car has ARP bolts throughout, every inch of it, even through the suspension in the front. It took a long time to do that, correct?
Yeah, there's many fasteners that are out of the catalog that you can just pick up off the shelf, but then there's a lot of unique custom fasteners that we put on the car, right down to the plugs for all the grease zerks, have 12-point bolts to plug the grease zerk holes.
Now, you've owned this since the 70s. When was it actually rebuilt or finished?
The car was purchased at a garage find or barn find in the 70s. I put the disc brakes on it in 1986. And then 5 years ago, the car was actually restored or finished and completed.
That is very cool. I love the red accent. That chassis looks so good, but that unique front end on the T-Bucket really sets it off.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail on this car, and it is very much a faster showcase, and it complements our product well.
That is very cool. Thank you so much for letting us check it out. 1923 T-Bucket. You know, guys, walking into Central Hall here at SEMA, you're not going to miss this 41 cab over built by Cody for Chris. This thing's attention to detail is sick. Tell me a little bit about the build, Cody.
It's been about a 1.5 year build. My buddy Chris here hired me to build it. Got a shop in Carencro, Louisiana, And
What's the name of the shop?
Popeye's Rod Shop.
You're a one-man guy, right? One-man crew?
That's it.
That's what keeps the quality so high. This is beautiful. Now,
Thank you.
what was the inspiration, Chris? Is this a bucket list car?
Yeah, it's a bucket list car. He had a cab hide in the back of the shop and finally got Sean Broussard to come off of it and we just went to work.
And Cody started with the cab and built everything from the cab back. All this handmade by Cody, absolutely beautiful. You should see the attention to detail. Long sheets of metal, no imperfections in it, nice and straight. That is cool. Now, have you driven it?
A little bit. We drove it the day before we left to come here and put about 40 miles on it.
That's cool. Now, nothing fell off, right?
Nothing fell off.
Good job. What kind of power plant's in it?
It's 12-valve Cummins diesel with the Allison transmission.
Did you hop it up at all?
No, it's pretty much all stock. All the drivetrain come out of a school bus.
That's cool. That's going to keep it really reliable. Nice job, Chris.
Thank you.
Now we're going to go check out and see what's on the back of this thing. We have to go to a commercial. We'll be right back, so don't go anywhere.
Lokar Car Show, presented by Appalachian Backroads. Appalachian Backroads. Virginia is for lovers. Original Parts Group Incorporated. Unbeatable quality, price, and in-stock selection for GM restoration and high-performance parts. NH Oil Undercoating Incorporated. NHOU, the official oil-based rust-proofing system. Lokar Performance Products. Quality, plain and simple. It's time for the Lokar Lowdown with Kevin Ford.
One of the transmissions that's been growing in popularity lately are the TKO 5-speed and 6-speed transmissions. We get a lot of questions from our customers. Hey, I want to run your Tremec lever, but I want to bring it up through the factory console. Can you bend it? Can you move it? What can I do to accommodate the factory floor in my muscle car? What we came up with is something we call the axis shift. The reason it's called an axis shift is this will bolt in on your car using either the factory shaft and the 2 bolts that give you 2 locations, or a full replacement unit that will allow you to offset this thing 1 inch to 1.5 inches and rotate it 360 degrees around. The next benefit added is the available of tilting or rotating your shifter lever. So if you've got a big long bent lever and you want to clear your dash or you want to clear your seat, we can accommodate that by moving it forward. We've got 4 bolts that lock it down, and then we've got some set screws that actually lock that in place. So you're not going to have any trouble when you go to bang gears and you're getting a little rowdy. It's not going to move. It's going to stay put, and you're going to be happy with where you have it, and it's going to stay right there.
Like I said, guys, you are not going to walk into SEMA Central Hall and miss this combination. On Chris's 41 cab over is David and Michelle's 54 Chevy, and it's as beautiful as the Ford that it's sitting on. And there's a story behind this, right, Michelle?
There is. We saw it in someone's yard, and then it would go back into a barn, come in and out. Well, come to find out, 40 years it had been sitting up in a barn, and it was for an old lady near our area, and her grandson sold the car. Then turn around and we watched it. We find it on Marketplace. We swapped it up real quick. You know, so we're excited to have it. My husband David, I was lucky enough that he got in there and he started tinkering with it and getting everything situated. So we're sitting on Detroit steel wheels. We have an LS 6.0, looking at Texas Speed cam, and
it's going to make some power.
It's going to make some power. So what I did was I went into Joann's fabric.
That's awesome.
I took the fabric and I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to work off of this fabric to get the colors for the car. And they said, there's no way you can't do that. You have to pick it, you know, the other way around. And I said, no, this is what we're going to do. And
you proved those men wrong.
I proved them men wrong.
And this is an inspiration to your father, correct?
It is. And actually, when you look at the frame, if you go over it, I was lucky enough, Cody and Dave got together and they took my dad's signature H, because it's Project Howard. Yep, you know, so we took it and it's underneath. The cradle that actually holds the gas tank, it's in there, and it's on the frame itself.
That is very cool. Thank you so much for letting us check it out.
Thank you, Sam.
Walking by this 54 pickup truck, I noticed the black accents, I noticed the black exhaust tips, and the gas tank being in the same spot. You know, everybody's doing LS swaps these days, but Tommy decided to keep it 350 to put that nostalgia look. You did a great job, Tommy. Tell me about the truck.
Thanks, Sam. So this is a classic hot rod style build, but it's completely modern. Everything about this truck has been gone through, and we're really happy to be here at SEMA and sharing it. So it's actually on the stock chassis,
right?
And it's not the stock drivetrain, but it is traditional for this year. So
absolutely.
Let me pop the hood and show you what we got under here.
It's very, very clean under here as well.
So what I wanted to do was make it look factory, but there's nothing stock about this truck. From the core radiator core custom touch to the vintage air conditioning installed by Vintage AC. It's just a really bad truck in all the right ways.
In all the right ways, you're exactly right. I love the murdered look. I love the stainless steel accents. And you even said something about the sill matching the horn button?
Yeah, we had to kind of implement our company logo into it, you know, justified performance. We're a new shop, so we got a custom CNC built sill plates and horn button all made in-house.
So you did a very good job. I'm loving the truck. 54 pickup truck, didn't do an LS swap, kept it nostalgic, kept the gas tank in the same spot. This is awesome. What a beautiful 55 truck. I've been hearing everybody talk about whether this was an original four-door or not. Daniel did an awesome job on this 55. Tell us about it.
This was an original four-door cab that we picked up in Southern California. No one believes it, but it is. We ran with originally had the big truck front clip. We stuck with that with the widened fenders. We matched it with a fleet side bed that we had to widen to match, you know. We went with the Duramax diesel, mirror image turbos. You know, everything we had to do something different, you know, out of the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
The mirror image turbos really add symmetry under the hood. You wouldn't even think that was a diesel. It's so clean and not crowded. It wasn't until I saw the injectors that I saw that it was a diesel. Now you said you purchased that intake and built the engine around it, right?
I built the engine around the intake, absolutely. They don't make, Duramax is not a good looking motor. We had to switch it up. We saw that intake, we ran with it. We wouldn't have changed anything.
Now, how are you cooling this bad boy?
We're cooling this thing at CNR Racing. We contacted them, talked to them. We have a small working space. They're like, we need to maximize that. We need to make it bigger. So we had to heavily modify to cool this thing because that big Duramax diesel, those turbos, we had to cool all that. So.
Yeah, you got a big John intercooler, and you said this thing has AC. You can't even see the AC in it.
Can't see it at all. Yep, it's all hidden away, but it's all there.
Yeah, you did a great job, Daniel. Thank you so much for letting us check it out. I'm here with Curtis and Kathy, brother and sister team, and they built a beautiful Barracuda with a Viper 10-cylinder engine swap. A lot of cool metal work on this, and Kathy did her first interior. Being an airplane mechanic, I think she did pretty good. Tell me about the interior.
Well, I started with 2014 Challenger seats, and I decided to go with a custom seat cover, and I made horizontal pleats in it to kind of mimic the snake belly, because the Viper engine.
Yep.
And then I custom made the full set length center console.
And you have to modify the rear seat, right?
Yes.
Tell us what you did there.
The rear seat used to be a bench seat, but with the drive shaft tunnel, I couldn't keep the bench seat because it didn't fit. So I had to cut them down the middle, and I made 2 bucket seats out of them.
You did a great job. That was very creative. And you've done an impeccable job on the metal work in this. The bumpers, the center exhaust, the hood, everything's metal. Tell us about that.
Every part of the car is metal, from the hood, which was inspired through the Viper and the Demon, to the tailpipes, which you brought up, were inspired by the Ford GT. I really like bringing aspects from all sorts of fields in the car industry, such as the imports with the exposed front coolers, to the European and kind of racing industry with the rear diffusers and the rear spoilers and such. Just kind of bring it all together in a cohesive design that really updates the look of the old Barracuda.
I'm standing in front of this beautiful 1995 S14 240, really a Sylvia in Japan, and I'm building one of these in my shop right now with the same 2JZ swap. I've got Omar here, and he's done an impeccable job putting a 2JZ single turbo conversion, and mine's left-hand drive, but you converted yours to right-hand drive.
Right.
Now, how'd you do that?
Now, pretty much what I did, I took the whole car apart, took the whole interior out and the engine out, and I started taking apart the brace, started drilling out all the 1,000 spot welds, Also putting in the new one, tack welded it all up, seamed it back up, and then got it primered and painted, put it all together. So it took about like 3 weeks.
That way you don't have to go through the trouble of importing one and spending all that money on the car. That is beautiful. Now, what kind of power do you think you're gonna make?
I'm probably gonna be making like around 400, but my goal next year is probably to go 600.
Now with 600, you can do it on the stock motor. That bottom end will handle 1,000 horsepower. I've proven it when I was back in the racing days. So, what kind of transmission? I know you're running a 6-speed, but is it a Gert track?
No, I am currently running a Nissan 370Z transmission with the whole Collins adapter kit with a stage 4 clutch. Now everything bolts up beautifully, so there's nothing you don't gotta modify.
And that's cool because there's an abundance of 370Z transmissions out there, so if you break them, you can just slap another one in. Now I noticed the front tubs. What's the story behind them?
Now the reason why I did the tubs is because I wanted to clear more, especially when I was static, but now since I'm bagged, I have no issues to lowering the whole front end.
Lokar Car Show, presented by Appalachian Backroads. Spearhead Trails, get out and explore. H&M Saw, the saw that cuts straight. Brothers Truck Parts, #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck parts. Stage 8, the world's best locking fasteners.
If you guys know me, then you know I'm a serious Honda guy. I've built so many Hondas over the years, and it's so cool to see Honda come back with a Type R Civic with a turbo that makes almost 400 horsepower. I'm here with Andy, and what was the inspiration, Andy, with your Civic Type R?
I own a company called Remark. We specialize in like exhaust systems. So originally we bought a car to do like R&D, prototyping to make our exhaust system. After I drove a car, I kind of fall in love with it, so I decided to keep it as my personal car. And the story goes on, I start to put like wheels, aero, even like intercooler kits, so a bunch of stuff like seats. And I try to track the car too, so that's the idea to enjoy the car. Yep.
He's got the Sparco seatbelt bar, very nice one-piece, non-reclinable Sparco race seats in red, done really nice with the matching seatbelts to go with it. Custom wheels, and he's got the lip out front that's very stable because you use brackets of your own to keep it stabilized, correct?
Yeah, I want like a big lip inspired by the TCR Type R, so I customized the front lip as well, and because the under tray is kind of like plastic, so we had to make some brackets to kind of hold it down.
Well, it looks like you guys do a really good job with the Remark exhaust because the tips are very attractive.
Thank you.
And soon Andy's going to be upgrading the ECU, adding some more boost, and making some serious power. I'm standing in front of a 1969 Mercury Cyclone, but it doesn't look like one and you guys could never tell. Randy built Jim an awesome Cyclone with a whole slew of modifications. Tell me about it.
First thing people notice is the front of the car does not look like a Mercury Cyclone if you're familiar with it. We changed the whole front end, put in a Torino front end, modified the fenders, brought them out, all different metal work. It's got a rear bumper on the front, oil cooler through it. All the panels are hand formed in here, different inner fenders, and we put an LS7 in from Lingenfelter, but made it look like a Ford motor. And we fooled quite a few people.
You fooled me, I didn't know until you actually told me.
We built this car to compete in Optimus Search for the Ultimate Street Car and the Ultimate Street Car Invitational, which will happen actually this weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So as soon as the show ends, the car is headed to the track and I'll get my helmet out and driving suit and be on the track this weekend.
Quite a few things we had to adjust on the car to fit Jim's frame. I mean, he's obviously a very handsome guy, but he is a little bit taller than most of us. So we had to actually take the steering column, it's 5 inches further back into the car, but it's also dropped out of the dash like 4 inches down.
And you did it to both sides because Jim's got a tall wife as well.
His wife is very tall also.
So we're both going to be comfortable racing this thing around the track. The attention to detail on the inside, you brushed all the aluminum.
Yes.
Looks really good, doesn't stand out top. It is absolutely flows with the black and the darkness. Thank you, Jim. This is beautiful. I wish I could go to a racetrack with you in it.
Too bad you can't reach the pedal.
No kidding. If you're a gearhead and you watch Motor Trend, then you guys know Ralph and that unforgiving smile from RMD Garage, and you know his crew and him do impeccable work, like this 56 Chevy Bel Air. I love this. Tell me about this.
Man, this is one of those things where you get a chance to build something for a good friend, and then it ends up becoming just an amazing project, right? So we named this one Farmer, and it was an old neighbor of mine. We grew up, you know, kind of side by side. And he got a chance. He said, hey, Ralph, I want you to build me a car. And I said, all right, man, let's see what you want to do. We really wanted the interior to be something, like you said, it's a cockpit. It's something where they spend a lot of time. He happens to have a good family, a great large family. So how do they get in? How do they enjoy it, right? So we treat it just like a suit. We want to tailor it around them.
It's beautiful. They even kept the classic AC controls here, even though they got a brand new Resto Mod AC that's put into the dash. The vents are beautiful. The stereo system is hidden. You've got USB connections, all the modern stuff you need to be comfortable in this ride. And it is so comfortable in this seat and smells so good.
Yeah, man, it's about laying it out. For me, a car has to be timeless, right? I think if I see this 20 years from now, I'm absolutely still in love with it, right? We got that beautiful BASF red paint.
This car is so beautiful, perfect example of a 56. The interior is even more beautiful than the exterior. I want to thank Ralph from RMD Garage for letting us check it out.
Here at the 2019 SEMA Show, it's not only about the vendors and all the new products, it's also about the enthusiasts and car builders. There's a huge variety of cars from imports, domestics, Germans, Jeeps, trucks, you name it. Join us next week on the Lokar Car Show, where we head to McKee's 37 Open House and cruise in Stewart, Florida.